Hey, what's going on, guys? Today, this video I'm going to be discussing is going to be about generals that our low to medium sized coiners are going to want for their specific troop type. I'm going to go over skills that these generals should have on them. There's a couple that are necessity. There is no question. You must have it. Normally, I don't do that, but for today's video, I will be doing that. And I will dive into why I'm doing that. I'm also going to be showing you guys how to do skills properly. That's going to be more towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys watch the full video. And then another thing that I'm going to be talking about is refines as well. You know, what you want to do for refines. Everybody says this, everybody says that. I'm going to give you guys some information so that way you guys can make the right decision for your account. It doesn't matter what other people say. It's your account. As long as you're informed, you can make the best decisions. There's nobody better than you to make that decision. Guys, I'm pushing up on 600 subs right now. We're doing awesome. I don't ask this most videos, but if you guys could subscribe, if you guys could hit a like on there, would definitely appreciate that. At the end of the video, there's a card that'll recommend a video to you folks. If you guys could take a look at a couple of my videos, I've been doing everything I can to bring up the best content for you folks. Appreciate your guys' support, and we will jump into this my intro that I so like. I hope you guys like it too. Hannibal, take it away. All right, hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be kind of going over a broad spectrum of all generals. We're going to be talking about mounted, ranged, all of them, right? And my assumption is going to be medium to low size coining. I'm not going to be speaking about heavy coining. I don't know necessarily where everybody's at, so I guess I want to err on the side of caution. I will dive into range first. I will bring up my general. Granted, yes, it is more of a coining general, but I'm just going to use this as a reference guide. I'm going to first start out with what you want to do for your refines. You guys are going to go in here, refine on the gear, and you're going to want to look at what this max is, right? So everyone is going to be different, right? This is the plant gear. It's 30. You guys are going to go over to the Aries. Aries is the same thing as Achaemenid. So whatever this maximum is over here, you basically don't want to hit lock unless you're 5%. So if it's a 25, you want to get 20 and up and then lock it. As you can see right here, I locked it at 18.9. I say, hey, 20 and up, but sometimes for me, that 1% is not worth an extra 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 refining stones. So keep that in mind as well when people say, hey, just save above 20. And then you link it and there's like a 19 in there and they're like, why'd you save 19? You're only supposed to do 20 and up. It's like, hey, buddy, this is my account for one. Number two, I'm not going to spend 5,000 refining stones for 1%. So don't necessarily care too much about what other people say on your account. I'm just giving you guys this information, and kind of like what I always say, get the information you guys need and make the best decision that you feel is right. So if you know what you should be doing and you make an exception to that rule, every rules there's exceptions to, there's caveats to. If you understand that caveat or that exception, you can justify it, right? You know, maybe one or two, yeah, you're gonna be so you're losing. So let's just say one or two you get like 19, like I have like 18.9. Okay, so I'm down 2%. At the end of the day, 2% is not game change. 2% is 2%. Okay. It's like if people in your server or whatever are saying, oh, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Get this information and do what works for you. So anyways, guys, this is the kind of the refining gig for majority. And this is going to be a broad scale explanation. But for majority of you folks, what I recommend is you definitely want to do archer attack. Definitely, this is your number one. I see a lot of archer guys out there and their skills, and they do not have archer range. When you're doing PvP, this is critical. This is absolutely critical, because if you're attacking somebody and their wall general has this skill and you do not, This adds an extra 100 distance. I don't know if it's 100 yards, 100 meters, 100 centimeters. It just says adds a range of 100. Nobody knows, right? But anyways, so it adds a distance. I'm just going to say a distance. So they're going to be able to reach you before you reach them. So they are going to get maybe a turn, maybe two, before your guys even get. So you guys are already getting your numbers diminished before you even get there. You're basically putting yourself at a big disadvantage if you don't have this. I highly, this is an absolute must. This is not a maybe. This is not one of them rules that you can go around. This is, if you're sending an archer march, you have to have this. No questions about it. This is one of these rules that there is no questions. This is it. You cannot backtrack on this. I do siege range. You don't have to necessarily do siege range. You can add march size. I like siege range because on my video before, I kind of talked about it before, I send siege in with these guys. So that way their siege isn't devastating my range. My siege lock in with their siege and they're fighting each other. And I put the distance on there so that way they lock in at the same range. Kind of the exact same principle as when I'm talking about my archers, right? They lock in at the exact same range. So that's why I do that. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I would definitely recommend this as well. Let's go over cultivate. With guys like this, I say you don't want politics. I guess it depends on who your farming general is. If you don't have a farming general, then yes, get on politics. For these guys, I just do all. For my fighting guys, I just do all. It maxes out at 500. You can hit this thing a couple times and drop it below 500. Like, let's just say you want to, like, you're heavy on attack, right? You want to do attack because archers, you pretty much attack is your most important thing. You can do it a couple times, drop your 500 down to maybe, drop it down 5. You go like this and you're going to click attack and then drop this one off and then cultivate. You'll probably fail a bunch of times, but what this will do is this might bump you over to that 500 scale. It's not going to get you too crazy high. I really don't think it's worth the investment because when you're doing this, you're going to be failing a lot. So it's probably going to cost you 20, 30,000 gems just to get, like 4 or 5 extra. So, but I'm just putting that information out there. Like I said, I'm going to give you guys information so you guys can do the best thing that works for you. Your leadership, as you guys can see right here, it's going to be your HP and your mount in your march speed. And then attack obviously is attack, defense is obviously defense, and then politics is, I don't really care too much about the troop death to wounded because I fill all my hospital beds, so I don't get any wounded in PvP. And in battlegrounds, you really don't have to worry about wounded anyways because you're probably not going to be healing. So the main thing right here is resource gathering speed. If you want to throw him on, if you don't have any decent generals and you have a strong general, you can use this guy and he's going to help you farm better. And then specialties are what specialties are, right? You're just going to max these 3 out and you're not going to be able to get to this 4th one until you max these out. I don't know if you guys are younger servers or what have you, but these guys right here, these what are these lucky favors, you basically get these from PvP. It says it right on here. You get them from battlegrounds as well. Power loss is 30 million on both sides, 35 million on both sides. I don't necessarily know if that's true because I've gotten these and I've lost less than 35 million. So I don't know. It's not really a big deal. I will show you guys what these things add, right? So we're at 16,000. That gave us 80,000. So basically each one of these is 1,000, right? I'm going to do this right now. What I specifically recommend, especially when you're getting on this last one right here, the genius scale, I would recommend getting as many of these guys as you possibly can and use them for the genius on all these geniuses because the geniuses are the ones that cost the most. So I would definitely recommend, if you got any lucky favors, you're gonna want to get the best ROI, return on your investment as possible for this genius size. And I would recommend that for all of these genius sizes, just because these things are extremely hard to get. And based on your account, guys, let's just say you're not a heavy coiner. Maybe expert is a big thing for you. If you want to use them on expert, send it. Do what is best for you. But when you're suffering on these guys, don't do it until you get these lucky favors. That kind of hits the scale on the specific ins and outs of a general. And now I'm going to basically talk about generals that you want to get. And like I was saying, I'm speaking to guys that are medium to zero coining at all. I'm going to start with archers. Archers, my number one. I know a lot of guys will say Electra is your number one. Personally, I think if you're a low coiner or minimum coiner, I would think Minamoto is going to be my recommendation for you guys. And I say Minamoto because he's very even with Electra on attack, but he's better at reinforcing than Electra is. That's basically why I recommend doing that, because you can hit people, pretty much do the exact same damage as Electra, but you can also reinforce, and he's way superior than Electra. So he's multifaceted. He can be very good in multiple situations. I want you guys to get a good general that's going to help you out in a lot of different scenarios. You're not going to want two range generals. Get them from the tavern. You can pull them from the general's chest. So that's going to be where you're pulling these guys from. The general's chest is this bad boy. You don't get them very often. You can also pull them out of relics too. You can get these units down here, right? I would say Martinez is going to be your best mounted general for the medium to lower size coiner. I know other folks will say Roland is going to be the best one. The reason why I like Martinez is because you can, like I said, you can pull them out of the tavern, get them out of relics. And I know that Hannibal is also probably the better ones, but if I was looking at the stats between him and Hannibal, and literally Hannibal, if I max everything out, Hannibal's only gonna have 10% more attack than, so it's very, very marginal. And why I like Martinez, he's gonna be the best reinforcing general. You can just go crazy into him, and you can reinforce, and you can attack, and he's the second best attacking general, even if you're a heavy coiner, and he's going to be the best general for reinforcing. I'm going to say find Martinez, get him, and he's going to be your best bet. Mainly the only reason why he doesn't have as much damage as Hannibal, he's got too much attack here, and you can't put an attack skill on him. If you could get an attack skill on him, he would probably be better than Hannibal. All right, and I hope you guys are seeing the pattern here. These different skills, you kind of look at them, especially as newer players, and you don't really realize the importance of them. Same thing with ranged, how you want the distance. I'm gonna talk about ground as well. This is the same thing with ground. You want mounted speed. Mounted speed is gonna get these guys into the fight better. It's going to get them to attack the ground faster. And in case they get to the ground, they're probably going to get killed by the archers anyways, but maybe they might be able to get in there faster, right? I don't know. They're going to get devastated by the archers, but regardless, it's something you definitely want. You got to get HP on Martinez, and march size. You could do defense. It's just I wouldn't do defense. Defense isn't really that good on. You're going to want the march size just so you can get more folks into that fight. For your ground, I use Scipio, but Trajan is going to be the best general for you folks. You can pull him out of the tavern. I've pulled this guy multiple times. He's basically the second best general in the game, but so he's going to be very even with Scipio, but he is going to be your best reinforcing general for ground. So you're not going to lose a whole lot of stats with going with him, and you're going to be able to reinforce. That's kind of, if you guys can kind of see my train of thought here, low to medium coiners, you can still do attack, but yet you can reinforce your buddy, you can reinforce the throne. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I want you guys to have the best information as possible. All right, guys, and I know I got Scipio up, but these are going to be what I recommend. I recommend all of your ground units. This is one of them absolute rules as well for me. Ground speed. You want ground speed. It's going to allow them to get into the fight faster. Let's just say you send it in ground because you already killed their siege, you already killed their mounted, and then maybe you sent another siege rally. I mean, you know, you younger folks probably aren't going to be doing things like that. That's kind of more further along, but basically if you're sending these guys in to finish up their ground, you want, once they get done with that, they're going to be moving to the archers. You're going to want them to be able to run faster, get to those archers faster, because those archers are going to be hitting them every turn. And if they can get closer every turn to these archers, they're going to die less. And then once they reach those archers, once they get those archers, it's over. The archers absolutely stand zero chance. Even same thing for Trajan. I recommend throwing defense on and HP on. Your ground is so hard to kill. You want to maximize on that. They're not really a heavy damage dealer, but what's good about them is they're so difficult to kill. You want to stress that when you're fighting. You want to add those stats to these guys. Best thing that they're in, you want to make them even better in. They're basically, I would say, do not use any other skills than these three. I'm just going to briefly touch on Siege. I know most of the players might not be interested in Siege. It is actually a very beneficial class to attack with. If you see a lot of endgame players, they pretty much start with Siege. They start with Siege to kill the other people's Siege, because they know the Siege is always going to be hitting every single time, and you literally can't hit the Siege unless you send Siege to kill the Siege. So it's something where if you're sending archers, the Siege are going to kill your archers. Then if you're sending in, mounted to kill the ground, might not be that good. You'll probably send ground in, but it kind of, if you don't kill the Siege, is what I'm getting at, your fight is going to be very, very challenging. So this is it's kind of a more of an end game type of thing. I want you guys to understand that Siege is actually one of the most important troops that there is out there. It's going to be how you initiate to hit bigger players, and then you follow up with the range. And it's very good on defense as well, because it's going to reach out and touch people before they can touch you. So this Ulysses S. Grant, I don't use Ulysses S. Grant. I use Ramirez. He is going to be basically the best for low coiners and medium-sized coiners. It's the same thing as the other one, folks. You guys are going to see this time in and time out. All right, guys, so we're going to jump to my Ramirez. I am also going to show you guys how to apply skills. Since I'm here and talking about this, we're going to dive into this. I showed it in my first video, but I know a lot of folks have been asking me, so we're going to get into this. These are going to be the exact same things that you're going to want on your Ulysses S. Grant. Your number one, what you guys are going to do is you're going to want this bonus attack. And I'm going to dive into this. I'm so happy that I didn't do this. I could show this to you folks. You're always going to use your level 1s first. I'm going to look at march size to ensure that I do have march size. Okay. So these are the ones you're going to want. You're going to want march size. So if you saw, I should have paused it there for longer, but it says it has 0% chance of replacing anything, right? It has a 0% chance of replacing anything because there's nothing there to replace. You guys are going to see every time we do this, this is going to go up an extra 25% because we're only talking about these 3 units right here. This one is forever. This one cannot go. If it comes with this, you cannot go. So we're going to be talking about this spot, and this spot. So next we're going to be looking at Siege bonus range. So as you can see right here, it has a 50% chance of replacing one of your existing. So basically it's got a 50% chance to replace this and a 50% chance not to. So it did. It replaced it, right? Well, I am just going to go to Siege attack. It's going to be the same 50%. And then I just basically slide back and forth. This is the awesome part of these things. This is why you don't want to do your level 4s. You do it on your level 1s, and I'll get to that in a second. So now we have just verify what you have. Sometimes I'll back out like this and then come back in here because sometimes when you're clicking on that, it's funky, right? Now we're going to get to the march size. We have a 75% chance of replacing one of these. This is awesome. This is, see? And now you basically know what I do is I don't even read them from here on out. I look at which ones I need. So this is my siege range. It'll say it's already there, so you don't even have to worry about it. Then you go to your siege attack. Well, okay, then it got replaced. Boom. That's what we wanted. All 3 of these are replaced. Then we will slide all the way up here to your level 4s. So this level 4 is going to exactly replace that level 1. So now we did all the heavy lifting for the level 1 stuff. Now this is going to replace that. Boom, 100% chance. Basically what it was saying was 100% chance to replace anything, because it has to replace something. It has to go somewhere, right? But when you already have the level 1s, it's going to exactly replace the level 1s. If you use the right skill. If you use a different skill, then you're kind of SOL. So here, and you want to verify this, this is the siege range. Boom. It's going to cover up the siege range. We're going to go to siege attack. Siege attack. We're going to back out because it's easier to see here. We got our siege attack. We got our siege range. And we got our siege march size. That's how you do it, folks. You're going to want the exact same thing for Ulysses S. Grant. This is going to be the guy that I recommend most folks. And why I recommend most folks, because siege is going to be your best troop for defense, bar none. Siege and range are going to be your best defensive troops inside your keep. So even if you're a low, medium size coiner, you're 16 billion power, this is the guy that I would recommend. Maybe not 16 billion power. You guys would be swapping. You guys would be doing a lot of crazy stuff. But anyways, this is the guy that I recommend. Obviously, archer range. Remember how I was talking about in archers? You want the archer range on there. You're going to want the siege range because you want every advantage you can get. You don't want them guys hitting you before you can hit them. You want to even the playing field. And I did ground speed. And why I did ground speed, because a lot of people are going to be debuffing your ground. And, you know, that's when you get a little bit later in the game, they're going to be debuffing your archers. And they're going to want to debuff your ground as well, because ground are so hard to kill. So I'm just trying to make them a little bit faster. You can't, there's a couple of caveats to this. I'm going to link the website below. They recommend something different, which is fine. Everything's up for debate. Like I said, the only two that are locked in stone is you're going to be using this, which is the siege range, and you're going to be using the archer range. Those two things are locked in stone. They will say put siege attack on there. I can't argue with that. I can't say it's a bad idea. It's a good idea. I'm just going with this just because I want all my troops to have the most important skill for that type, right? I'm already going to have decent attack, and people, it's so easy for folks to debuff siege attack anyways. This is kind of the reason why I went ground speed. There's some things you can fudge. So that's my justification to that. But I would say he is going to be your best bet. He's going to serve you the best, guy. Yes, there's other generals out there. If you're going to get hit by something else, you could put other things on there. But overall, he's going to be your best. And I would definitely recommend that for you guys. He's who I use. Very good success in him. You know, if you guys are up in the top 100 and you're getting, things are different, it's nice to have a couple of these bad boys, but most of us folks just have one, and this guy's going to get you squared away. All right, so those are the 5 main generals that you're going to need. Anyways, guys, I am so close to 600 subs. I know this is going to be kind of at the end of the video, but if you could subscribe, click one of these videos of mine. The end is going to come up soon, so if you guys want to click that card, definitely appreciate that, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You guys are awesome. We'll see you folks again real soon on the next video. Y'all have a good one. I still haven't fully set up my siege because I didn't necessarily know until recently that siege is so good to initiate attacks on it. Maybe I knew it, but once I always hit my archers, I always sent my archers out to folks and would destroy their mounted. But then, like, how do I clear them now? And a lot of people were saying, well, you actually should send in the siege first. Send in the siege first to take their siege out, and then you send in your range to take their mounted out. And then depending on how much range they have, you're going to send another wave of siege to kill their ranged. And then you can just send in your mounted, and it'll probably be a wrap. So anyways, I just kind of got into that at the end, but